Peace and power. Peace and power. Okay. Mm. Hmm. I am going to put on a little music. I am ready to read the Kybalion, but I gotta go get my doobie. And so let me find my song. You got some Frankie Beverly in maze. Um, I just be looking at my news feed. Some of these damn, yeah, I don't be following these stars or what people would call stars. Some be off. Let me see. Frankie Beverly. I was on the way to the park and they played this song. I'm like, ooh, never I let go. Okay, so let's get it here. And we're gonna play this little music while I go and get my thing. You got a notification this time. Good girl. Peace and power, everybody. The link is in the comment box. We got sis in the building. Hey Rachel. And we're gonna get back into the Kybalion today. We are on chapter 2. I almost forgot. I had poured me a glass of wine and I was feeling lay down. But I'm like, no. Get on the Kybalion. Because honestly, you all, my thoughts have been so heavy. When you're dealing with the home and trying to figure out what's best for the home, sometimes the decisions you make, it's like, ugh. And so, I'm looking for my dream. I had a dream a couple of months back about the star system. I just need some peace. It's like, sometimes you have, that's when I was dreaming twice a night. I need to remember what was I doing to dream twice a night. And I was remembering. It's the beginning of the year. Beginning of 2020. But I dreamed about a star system. It's funny. At first, I didn't used to dream about my husband. And then I started dreaming about him all the time. Hmm. It was about the star system. Let me see if I can find it. Mm. I be dreaming some crazy stuff. I ain't gonna lie. But, yeah. Man, you know, I be dreaming about strip clubs. I'm from the South. That South. Let me see. Okay, here it is. I dreamed about Andromeda. Andromeda. Hold on. Oh, it's Andromeda. Andromeda. And I dreamed about the nebula and Cyrus and Sirius. And that was in March 2021. And it was in relation to the Milky Way. Let me stop using my energy for bullshit. Yeah, I'll be on that bullshit. Okay. I just want to look back at the dream. I was texting somebody I don't even talk to no more. It's like, why are you wasting your energy, girl? Y'all don't even mess with each other no more. Somebody had posted some. I'm learning when people show you who they are, let it be that. Sad. We be trying to get everybody the benefit of the doubt. Motherfuckers be taking our head off, and we still. I had one with the phases. I had one with the phase of the moon. A dream. What we're getting into is the Kybalion. If y'all don't know, I'm gonna light my incense, and then I'm gonna get my other stuff so I can light it. And then we'll get in the book. It helps to focus me and ground me. So guess what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. And I got me a glass of wine because I be having hard days sometimes. And it take a lot for me to just keep going. Sage is very optimistic. But when stuff get a little too heavy, child, we are prone to take a sip. A sip. A sip of a puff. I just been thinking about my family. I don't know if it's because we these cancer placements. Been thinking about my mama, my daddy, and sometimes it get heavy. So you dreamed about the phases of the moon. Oh, you had a dream about the phase of the moon. Okay. Yeah, it's something celestial going on. Y'all don't mind me. I'm finna get up. Let me turn the camera off. I got my little booty short. So hold on. Hold on. And then I forgot to play music. That was the important thing. Whoa, whoa. You make me happy. Okay. Whew. Let me play the song so I won't make y'all suffer through. Oh, it played. It was playing. Listen. No, that ain't it. Well, what? Hey, you make me happy. So today, I took my little one to a couple of water pads here. Texas has a lot of parks with water sprouting in it. So we went to two of those. If you like it, you like the second one better than the first. Before I let go. Oh no, my car. Before I let go. And shines on you. Nothing would not do. Well, before I let you stop. Okay. Mm. Houseware girl, I was all in. I was not in the house anymore. I just don't want nobody to think I'm thirst trapping on YouTube. I'm very confident in my body, and so I ain't finna be doing covering up. Okay? After you read the book, what is it? I keep pulling this book out for y'all. Hold on. This book teaches you, and when people are trying to make that you're covered all up and whatever, whatever, man, woman, mama, daddy, it suppresses an energy inside you that is the archetype for the roles. And so all your archetypes have to be balanced. So when you feeling sexy, you should dress like you feeling. Also when you feeling like a mother or nurturer, and you will be dressing like you feel. But anything outside of that, that's balance, man. Greetings, y'all. The link is in the comment box. We're gonna get started on the Kybalion. I'm just gonna unwind right quick. Hey, hey, mm, mm, hey, mm, 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 mm. Hey, hey, hey. Mm, 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 mm. I thought I tried to put that music on. I gotta get some kind of minerals in me today. I ain't took nothing but the sarsaparilla, and it's a good energy, iron. Okay, so Let's see what they got up next. What song come next? I don't need to hear no live, child. Happy feelings. Baby, you gonna have too much of this real music. YouTube gonna flag you. Mm. Hey, they said it's called Housewell. Child, I'll be outside. Oh, yeah, where you going? Where I'm going. I found these little shorts at the thrift store that was $1. And then I went to what's the name of that store? Ross's, and found the sports bra to match the shorts. I was thankful. Child, all right, y'all. I guess we're gonna let me type it in the box. Feeling. Mm, hey, what is it? Chapter 2. My little bantu knots coming to loose. All right, let me turn them off. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for giving us the happy feeling energy. We're gonna go and get in this book, do what we came for, and then we can relax. So we are on chapter 2. Like I say, this is one of my favorite books. I love the Kybalion because anytime my mind is racing back and forth, um, this just brings me balance. So let me share the screen so y'all can read along. You got to remember when you're trying to learn something, it's good to learn in 2 ways. There's over 13 learning types. I'm a cosmetology instructor, so they train you to teach. And so you have to know that you can't just be teaching everybody the same way. Some people are readers, some people like listen to lectures, and some people like to participate. Chapter 2. The 7 Hermetic Principles. Go here. Happy feelings. I'm looking at the chickens. They're running all over the place. Let me see if I can take this off. And I need to turn the fan up, child. That's all we got, y'all. Okay, so the fan is up. I thought it was not, but it is. So, mm. They teach us to breathe in properly. And so, no, that's the baby chicks. They out there chasing a grasshopper or something. Chickens don't have no friends. If they friend find something to eat and they want it, they take it. So that's the lesson we can learn from the chicken. They are about survival. Okay, so chapter 2, the 7 Hermetic Principles. So the quote to start the chapter, let me make sure. The principles of truth are 7. He who knows these understandingly possesses the magic key before whose touch all the doors of the temple fly open. And that's a quote from the Kybalion. The 7 Hermetic Principles upon which the entire Hermetic philosophy is based are as follows. And we're going to practice breathing properly. You're supposed to breathe in and out of your nose. So as we go through these principles, as a way of remembering, we're going to take inhale and exhale in and out of your nose. So the first Hermetic principle is the principle of mentalism. The second is the principle of correspondence. The third is the principle of vibration. The fourth is the principle of polarity. The fifth is the principle of rhythm. The sixth is the principle of cause and effect. Seven is the principle of gender. Let's get into it. So these 7 principles will be discussed and explained as we proceed with these lessons. A short explanation of each, however, may as well be given at this point. The principle of mentalism. The all is mind. The universe is mental. And that's a quote from the Kybalion. This principle embodies the truth that all is mind. It explains that the all, which is the substantial reality underlying all the outward manifestations and appearances, which we know under the terms of the material universe, the phenomenon of life, matter, energy, and in short, all that is apparent to our material senses is spirit. So all that is apparent to our material senses is spirit, which is in itself, which in itself is unknowable and undefinable, but which may be considered and thought of as an universal, infinite, living mind. It also explains that all the phenomenal world or universe is simply a mental creation of the all, subject to the laws of created things, and that the universe as a whole and in its parts or units has its existence in the mind of the all, in which mind we live and move and have our being. This principle, by establishing the mental nature of the universe, easily explains all of the varied mental and psychic phenomena that occupy such a large portion of the public attention, and which without such explanation are non-understandable and defy scientific treatment. An understanding of this great Hermetic principle of mentalism enables the individual to readily grasp the laws of the mental universe and to apply the same to his well-being and advancement. The Hermetic student is enabled to apply intelligently the great mental laws instead of using them in a haphazard manner. With the master key in his possession, the student may unlock the many doors of the mental and psychic temple of knowledge and enter the same freely and intelligently. Intelligently. The principle explains the true nature of energy, power, and matter, and why and how all these are subordinate to the mastery of the mind. One of the old Hermetic masters wrote long ages ago, "He who grasps the truth of the mental nature of the universe is well advanced on the path to mastery." And all these words are as true today as at the time they were first written. Without this master key, mastery is impossible, and the student knocks in vain at the many doors of the temple. And so he said, if you can grasp the mental nature of the universe, you are on the well advanced path to mastery. If you can get in your head that everything starts with a thought, back to in the beginning, there was the word, you can have anything you want. We are limiting ourselves because of the thought process. You don't think you can have it. You don't think you can have all of your desires. You don't think that you deserve all of your wants as well as your needs. And that is a poverty mindset. And we talk about poverty mindset in Awakening the Master Feminine. Y'all go listen to the playbook, because when we get into the male version, y'all gonna wish y'all would have been listening to the female half so you can have some kind of balance in your judgment. Women are emotional and men think logically. And so you have to learn as female to balance. But this right here is just dealing with the first step in that. Your mind. Your mind has to be balanced. Ooh, it's giving me Gemini moon vibes, but I digress. The principle number 2, the principle of correspondence. As above, so below. As below, so above. And that's a quote from the Kybalion. This principle embodies the truth that there is always a correspondence between the laws and phenomena of the various planes of being and life. The old Hermetic axiom ran in these words: as above, so below, as below, so above. And the grasping of this principle gives one the means of solving many a dark paradox and hidden secret of nature. There are planes beyond our knowing, but when we apply the principle of correspondence to them, we are able to understand much that would otherwise be unknowable to us. This principle is of universal application and manifestation on the various planes of the material, mental, and spiritual universe. It is an universal law. It's a universal law. The ancient Hermeticists, I have to take time to breathe through my words. The ancient Hermeticists considered this principle as one of the most important mental instruments by which man was able to pry aside the obstacles which hid from view the unknown. Its use even tore aside the veil of Isis to the extent that a glimpse of the face of the goddess might be caught. Just as a knowledge of the principles of geometry enables the man to measure distant suns and their movements while seated in his observatory. Y'all know where you can go and look at the stars and stuff. He said, being just as knowledge of the principles of geometry. So if a man knows geometry, he can go in his observatory and measure the movements of distant suns and their movements while seated in his spot. So a knowledge of the principle of correspondence enables man to reason intelligently from the known to the unknown. Studying the monad, he understands the archangel. Let me look up what a monad is, child, so we can get a clear understanding. I love this book. An indivisible, impenetrable unit of substance used as the basic constituent element of physical reality in the metaphysics of Leibniz, something like that. So, it has something to do with metaphysics. All right. So, it says, studying the monad, he understands the archangel. Now, the principle number 3 is the principle of vibration. And the quote is, nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. This principle embodies the truth that everything is in motion, everything vibrates, nothing is at rest. Facts which modern science endorses and which each new scientific discovery tends to verify. And yet this Hermetic principle was enunciated thousands of years ago by the masters of ancient Egypt. This principle explains that the differences between different manifestations of matter, energy, mind, and even spirit result largely from varying rates of vibration. From the all, which is pure spirit, down to the grossest form of matter, all in its vibration. The higher the vibration, the higher the position in the scale. The vibration of spirit is at such an infinite rate of intensity and rapidity that it is practically at rest. Just as a rapidly moving wheel seems to be motionless, and at the other end of the scale, there are gross forms of matter whose vibrations are so low as to seem at rest. Between these poles, there are millions upon millions of varying degrees of vibration, from corpuscle and electron, atom and molecule, to worlds and universes, and everything is in vibratory motion. This is also true on the planes of energy and force, which are but varying degrees of vibration, and also on the mental planes, whose states depend upon vibrations, and even on to the spiritual planes. An understanding of this principle with the appropriate formulas enables Hermetic students to control their own mental vibrations as well as those of others. The masters also apply this principle to the conquering of natural phenomena in various ways. He who understands the principle of vibration has grabbed the scepter of power, says one of the old writers. So, principle number 4 is the principle of polarity. And the quote is, everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites, like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature but different in degree. Extremes meet. All truths are but half truths. So if you saying this is what it's supposed to be, that's your truth, it's a half truth because it's somebody else out there that just don't feel the same way. All paradoxes may be reconciled. And that's a quote from the Kybalion. This principle embodies the truth that everything is dual. Everything has two poles. Everything has its pair of opposites, all of which were old Hermetic axioms. It explains the old paradoxes that have perplexed so many, which have been stated as follows. Thesis and antithesis are identical in nature, but different in degree. Opposites are the same, differing only in degree. The pairs of opposites may be reconciled. Extremes meet. Everything is and isn't at the same time. All truths are but half truths, and every truth is a half false. There are two sides to everything, etc., etc. It explains that in everything there are two poles or opposite aspects, and that opposites are really only two extremes of the same thing, with many varying degree between them. To illustrate heat and cold, although opposites are really the same thing, the differences consisting merely of degrees of the same thing. Look at your thermometer and see if you can discover where the heat terminates and the cold begins. There is no such thing, absolute heat or absolute cold. The two terms heat and cold simply indicate varying degrees of the same thing, and that same thing which manifests as heat and cold is merely a form of variety and a rate of vibration. So heat and cold are simply the two poles of that which we call heat, and the phenomena attendant thereupon are manifestations of the principle of polarity. The same principle manifests in the case of light and darkness, which are the same thing. The difference consisting of varying degrees between the two poles of the phenomenon. Where does darkness leave off and light begin? What is the difference between large and small? Between hard and soft, between black and white, between sharp and dull, between noise and quiet, between high and low, between positive and negative. The principle of polarity explains these paradoxes, and no other principle can supersede it. The same principle operates on the mental plane. Let us take a radical and extreme example, that of love and hate. Two mental states apparently totally different, and yet there are degrees of hate and degrees of love, and a middle point in which we use the terms like or dislike, which shade into each other so gradually that sometimes we are at a loss to know whether we like or dislike or neither. And all are just simply degrees of the same thing. As you will see if you will but think a moment, and more than this, and consider of more importance by the Hermeticists, it is possible to change the vibrations of hate to the vibrations of love in one's own mind and in minds of others. Many of you who read these lines have had personal experiences of the involuntary rapid transition from love to hate, and the reverse in your own case and that of others. Okay, you dealing with people. Sometimes you love them at first and you end up hating. Um, those just do two different ends of the same pole. So it's all the same. It says, and you will therefore realize that the possibility of this being accomplished by the use of will, hold on, by means of the Hermetic formulas, good and evil are but the poles of the same thing, and the Hermeticist understands the art of transmuting evil into good by means of an application of the principle of polarity. In short, the art of polarization becomes a phase of mental alchemy known and practiced by the ancient and modern Hermetic masters. Now, an understanding of the principle will enable one to change his own polarity as well as that of others if he will devote the time and study necessary to master the art. I'm just telling you, there's no good and evil. Once you get yourself off that emotional roller coaster, it's better. It's no good and bad. Stuff happens and things change, and things are sometimes on a different vibration than when they started. Principle number 5, the principle of rhythm. And the quote is, everything flows out and in. Everything has its sides. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. And that's a quote from the Kybalion. And it says the principle of rhythm embodies the truth that in everything there is manifested a measured motion to and fro a flow in and out, a flow and inflow, a swing backward and forward, a pendulum like movement, a tide like ebb and flow, a high tide and a low tide between the two poles which exist in accordance with the principle of polarity described a moment ago. There's always an action and a reaction, an advance and a retreat, a rising and a sinking. This is in the affairs of the universe, suns, worlds, men, animals, mind, energy, and matter. This law is manifest in the creation and destruction of worlds, in the rise and fall of nations, in the life of all things, and finally in the mental states of man. And it is with this latter that the Hermeticists find the understanding of the principle most important. The Hermeticists have grasped this principle, finding its universal application, and have also discovered certain means to overcome its effects in themselves by the use of appropriate formulas and methods. They apply the mental law of neutralization. They cannot annul the principle or cause it to cease its operation, but they have learned how to escape its effects upon themselves to a certain degree, depending upon the mastery of the principle. They have learned how to use it instead of being used by it. In this and similar methods consists the art of the Hermeticists. And y'all, I'm so sorry. I forgot to put the link. The link to the PDF. Give me a minute. Hmm. Hmm. Mm. Okay. So let me post y'all a link. That'll help in case I forget to scroll the screen down. Okay, let me go back to the screen. Where are we at? We on the principle of our principle of rhythm. Mm. Okay. Principle of rhythm. So we are right here. The master of Hermeticists. The master of Hermetics polarizes himself at the point at which he desires to rest, and then neutralizes the rhythmic swing of the pendulum, which would tend to carry him to the other pole. All individuals who have attained any degree of self mastery do this to a certain degree, more or less unconsciously. But the master does this consciously and by the use of his will, and attains a degree of poise and mental firmness almost impossible of belief on the part of the masses, who are swung backward and forward like a pendulum. This principle and that of polarity have been closely studied by the Hermeticists, and the methods of counteracting, neutralizing, and using them form an important part of the Hermetic mental alchemy. And so, what is being said to you? Some of y'all need a visual. So what's being said is that the world, life, let me take this off screen. Sure. The master hermeticist is immovable, but life happens and it's swinging the masses back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And in turn, you up and down in your emotions instead of just staying still and understanding that everything is polarity and cycles. And so it's saying that all individuals who have attained any degree of self mastery do this to a certain degree, more or less unconsciously, but the master does this consciously and by the use of his will and attains the degree of poise and mental firmness, almost impossible of belief of the part of the masses who are swung backward and forward like a pendulum. And this principle and that of polarity have been closely studied by the Hermeticists, and the methods of counteracting and neutralizing it, and also using them form an important part of the Hermetic mental alchemy. So just being able to not be swayed back and forth in your emotions in your everyday life, just being okay with whatever is going on in your life. Um, Principle number 6, the principle of cause and effect. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law, and chance is but a name for law not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. And that's a quote for the Kybalion as well. Now, this principle embodies the fact that there is a cause for every effect, an effect from every cause. It explains that everything happens according to law and that nothing ever merely happens, that there is no such thing as chance, and that while there are various planes of cause and effect, the higher dominating the lower planes, still nothing ever entirely escapes the law. The Hermeticists understand the art and methods of rising above the ordinary plane of cause and effect to a certain degree, and by mentally rising to a higher plane, they become causers instead of effects. The masses of people are carried along, obedient to environment and the wills and desires of others stronger than themselves. Heredity, suggestion, and other outward causes, moving them about like pawns on the chessboard of life. But the masters rising to the plane above dominate their moods, characters, qualities, and powers, as well as the environment surrounding them, and become movers instead of pawns. They help to play the game of life instead of being played and moved about by other wills and environment. They use the principle instead of being its tools. The masters obey the causation of the higher planes, but they help to rule on their own plane. In this statement, there is condensed a wealth of Hermetic knowledge. Let him read who can. Again, it's saying this ain't for everybody. This is just for the people who are masters. Principle number 7 is the principle of gender. Gender, and this is for the gender people who out here preaching this foolishness. His book says gender is in everything, and everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes, and that's a quote from the Kybalion. So, the principle of gender. This principle embodies the truth that there is gender manifested in everything, the masculine and feminine principles ever at work. This is true not only of the physical plane, but of the mental and even the spiritual planes. On the physical plane, the principle manifests as sex. On the higher planes, it takes forms. On the higher planes, it takes higher forms. But the principle is ever the same. No creation, physical, mental, or spiritual, is possible without this principle. An understanding of its laws will throw light on many a subject that has perplexed the minds of men. The principle of gender works ever in the direction of generation, regeneration, and creation. Everything and every person contains the two elements or principles, or this great principle within it, him or her. Every male thing has the female element also. Every female contains also the male principle. If you will understand the philosophy of mental and spiritual creation, generation, and regeneration, you must understand and study this Hermetic principle. It contains the solution of many mysteries of life. We caution you that this principle has no reference to the many base, pernicious, and degrading lustful theories, teachings, and practices which are taught under fanciful titles and which are a prostitution of the great natural principle of gender. Such base revivals of the ancient infamous forms of phallicism tend to ruin mind, body, and soul, and the Hermetic philosophy has ever sounded the warning note against these degraded teachings, which tend toward lust, lasciviousness, and perversion of nature's principle. If you seek such teachings, you must go elsewhere for them. Hermeticism contains nothing for you along these lines. To the pure, all things are pure. And to the base, all things are base. So they let you know if you're on some masculine, feminine, back and forth shenanigans, that's not balanced. That's not what a master is about. And it's base. He says the base is base. For the pure is pure. So that was chapter 2. I told y'all this book is so good. One of these chapters, I think this next one, because it's going to go into the breakdown of all those principles. That's the longest chapter. So we might have 2 days. I might not read all the way through because it's long. But we're going to get it done. I like this book because it keeps me right there in the middle between logic and my emotions. I am a Cancer ascendant, which means my emotions is there and present. And so just tapping into them, keeping them balanced. Okay. Oh, sorry. I had to raise up off the ball. I was becoming one with the ball. So yeah, we got through that. The next chapter is very long. Now, we're going to go on and end the video just so we won't be on here and this be like a long video. But we did stop talking about the book at like 53, 54. And so, I don't know, y'all. I'm going to go. Whew. Excuse me. And the perk about this is I can replay these videos. This one's kind of long, but the next one, like I said, the next chapter will be longer, but the rest of them are short. So I hope y'all are enjoying it. I'm going to get out of here. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And peace.